Hello and welcome to Seekerz Roadmap to Family History. The roadmap is an outline of the course Seekerz Intro to Family History. This video will introduce you to the course, its outline, and some of its structure. As you will see, I like to make family history fun, so I start each lesson with a joke and end it with a game. The joke for this lesson is, not all ancestors are as crazy as they seem. Sometimes they're even worse. The objective of the roadmap is take things a step at a time. Too many people jump into the deep end without first learning how to swim. Jake was interested in family history. He had originally tried to get involved, but found that he didn't know enough to make any inroads, so he thought he needed to become more knowledgeable. However, after a year of reading articles and advice, he realized that he'd been learning a lot, but had not yet accomplished very much. All the information seemed disjointed, jumbled, and disorganized. He still didn't really know how to approach it and be proficient in it. If you truly want to be effective in family history, one of the most important things to do is to take it a step at a time. Many people get excited about family history like kids wanting to swim for the very first time and decide to jump in the deep end of the pool without first learning how to swim. Although some can learn this way, it is far better to start at the shallow end and progress until the deep end is obtainable. Once the deep end has been mastered, other specialties can then be mastered, such as using the high dive or competitive water sports, etc. There is a temptation to get enamored with the latest and greatest software in the market without first learning the important principles that will lead to success. Software is an important part of doing family history, but it is not the objective. It is a tool to reach the objective, and it is not even the most important tool in the toolbox. More important is to gather a set of tools, both electronic and manual, to help you on your journey. Each tool addresses a different aspect of the effort. Some tools do similar things and can be used in similar situations, others cannot. Some tools are inexpensive, others are not. As in other endeavors, it is useful to follow a roadmap that will help you gain proficiency in the tools of most value to you. Different situations may require different configurations of tools, and you need to be able to envision and decide which will be the most useful. You may even need to modify the tools that you use and possibly get new ones as the need arises. In other words, be flexible. This lesson will give you a broad overview of the map to follow to be able to construct the backbone of the knowledge you need. It is not all-encompassing, but nothing is. It is a start to your journey and should be used as the springboard you need to use to flesh out the rest of the structure as you go. Building the whole structure takes longer, but not starting with a firm foundation limits what you can do in the future. One of the most important concepts to begin with is that you learn best when you put knowledge you gain into practice. Don't try to eat the whole elephant in one sitting. It doesn't work that way. Take things a step at a time. Take the time needed to accomplish the objective and then go to the next step. Yes, I know you may be itching to use that slick new app, but unless you understand the concepts and gather the other tools needed, as the old saying goes, garbage in equals garbage out. Here are the steps you are encouraged to use. Ask your relatives, collect the clues, learn the jargon, organize yourself, save your data, use repositories, verify the data, ask others for help, learn how to research, learn about DNA testing, go to the location, and become certified. There are many different specialties in the area of family history, and the body of knowledge in this area has been growing rapidly in the last couple of decades. It is expected to grow in depth and breadth and even gain legal status in many areas. Already we're seeing its entrance into forensic criminology. The objective of this report is to give you a picture of the lay of the land. Although it is not a detailed list of everything involved, it is always better to get a big picture of a project up front than to try to build the big picture from minute details. Building from details is time-consuming and error-prone. This report contains a list of the areas of knowledge needed to become functional in the field. The list starts at the most essential and simple things and then builds on that foundation. Not everyone will need or even want to go all the way through to becoming professionally certified, but understanding what certified professionals do is important, especially if you want to use their services. The objective of this report is to provide a quick understanding while avoiding many of the traps along the way. One of the biggest traps in family history is spending too much time learning and not enough doing. Instead of learning all there is to know before doing something, let your objectives, what you want to accomplish, drive the training you need to accomplish them. Another big mistake any project can make is to not clearly define the objectives desired up front and keep them in mind throughout the project. Many projects fail because of getting sidetracked, cost overruns, scope creep, and a failure to understand what the true objective was to begin with. People tend to drift aimlessly across the whole family history landscape, and while luck can strike every once in a while, it is far better to be organized and disciplined in how you approach your research. One of the best ways to do that is to plan the projects you wish to undertake and start working them one at a time. Here are the critical things to remember when searching for your ancestors. Start with clues given by others which have first-hand knowledge. Document the information, search for more clues, verify the information, and repeat. It is important to remember that this is an adventure. You don't know what you'll run into, so you need to be flexible and keep an open mind about who your ancestors were and what they did. Some families have presidents, some have villains, and some have a mixture of both. Remember that what you're looking for is the truth, not fairy tales. Don't try to rewrite history for convenience. So let's discuss each of the steps in the summary bullet points briefly. Ask your relatives. Asking your relatives should be your first step. The best point to start at is with those that are closest to you. They can provide you with hints and clues you may not have thought of. Once you tell others in the family that you are interested in family history, many times they'll give you information about the family they won't give to others. This is solely because you have shown you are interested while others have not. Wouldn't you be more interested in giving decades of research to the grandkids that are interested in them than those that may just throw it away at your passing? Get the word out that you are interested. Collect the clues. The next step is to use the information collected to look for clues to additional information. Collect as much information as you can. It could be in the form of family group sheets or pedigree charts or autobiographies or family myths, stories, or even just notes of what they are saying. Whatever it takes, collect as much as you can. Time is precious, and the longer you delay, the greater the chance that a relative, which has an enormous amount of information about the family, will die and take the knowledge with them. Remember, at this point, you are not as concerned about the accuracy of the information as the fact that you can obtain it. A mine can bring many riches, but there may be a lot of digging through the rubble to find the gold. Learn the jargon. In any endeavor, one of the quickest means of becoming proficient is to get up to speed on the terms being used. For medicine, it is probably important to know what the heart is, along with the liver, the lungs, etc. If you don't understand the terms of anatomy, it will be difficult to make correct decisions on how to solve problems the body encounters. It is the same with family history. Seekerz has provided a list of terms used in family history on the website seekerz.net. Getting up to speed on terms quickly will greatly help you in any field of endeavor. Organize yourself. Another way to get a quick start, even if you've been involved in family history for some time, is to organize the information you have. The difference between an unorganized mess and alphabetized files can be great indeed. Disorganization will take you far more time to find and resolve issues than organization. Since time is the most precious thing we have, I strongly urge you to organize the information you have. Receiving information from your relatives is a great first step, but if your relatives give you lots and lots of it, its volume will make it difficult to locate what you're looking for and almost impossible to find all the information about a given individual without wasting a lot of time in the search. Better to organize by person and family. Your raw data collection may include many duplicated family group sheets, misnumbered pedigree charts, random family stories, random documents, and lots of papers having nothing of genealogical content in them. And remember, your relatives may not have had the convenience of a computer when they did their research. So their method of organization may be far different than what you are used to, and that may be true even if they did have a computer. Whether or not you've been able to collect a lot of information from your relatives, organizing yourself first will make things much simpler to find in the future. As you get new information, you can simply file it away, being assured that it will be easy to find when you start looking for it again. And be sure to be flexible enough to be able to change your method of organization over time as you recognize better ways of organizing. Save your data. If you have organized your documents as suggested in the last topic, the next step is to purchase personal computer desktop software and enter your family data into it. If you don't have a computer, you can still collect and record genealogical information and then ask for help to put it into a computer or a web repository such as Family Search. However, having your own computer and software is preferable even if you also put the data into a web repository. This way, you'll have a personal copy of your data that you know is clean. The software will allow you to enter the data, define relationships between your relatives, document the events in the individual lives and marriages, and provide reports of what was entered. Remember, the computer is only as good as the information you put into it. Garbage in equals garbage out. Seekerz has provided a list of some of the top desktop software vendors at seekerz.net. Having a personal version of your family tree in your own computer allows you to avoid missteps created by others that may not have been as careful in their research. If there is a conflict, you'll be able to distinguish between the version you are using and that of others. Be careful not to blindly accept what others have. They are only human and may not have had the best information available. Having a personal copy gives you the confidence that you know that what you have is right, or at least the most correct you have, regardless of others. The computer can be a great way to help save and organize your data. Just make sure that you back it up against the day that the computer will eventually break down. One dentist found this out the good way when his professional office was able to restore data from a backup after a crash, while other professionals in the same office were not. The dentist that had the backup was able to restore and continue without interruption. The others had to manually re-enter all the information into the computer from all of their client charts collected over all of the years, a very expensive proposition. Don't forget to back up the data periodically. Use repositories. Once you've entered the information you received from your relatives, the next step is to attempt to get additional information from the internet. The reason is simple. It is far less expensive to get information from the internet than to go to the location itself to get it. Start with the least expensive means of getting information and work toward the more expensive. Some of the websites require an annual fee, such as Ancestry.com, and others do not, such as FamilySearch.org. Some have the ability to search extensive databases of census, birth, marriage, and death, and other records such as the two above. Others do not. This, of course, assumes that the information on the internet is correct. It may not be. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of websites dedicated to family history. You can view them on Cindy's lists and other websites. Seekerz does not intend to duplicate that effort. Our efforts are in helping you, the student, to get up to speed as quickly as possible. Verify the data. As mentioned above, data is not useful unless it is clean, meaning it is correct. It is essential that not only do you gather the data, you also verify it. The best and only way to do so is to collect documents proving the information that you have collected. It is understood that at times it may be difficult to find proof that a particular event occurred, but wherever possible, you need to do it. Documentation comes in many different flavors and shades of reliability. For example, a marriage certificate would be the best way to document a marriage, but if you don't have that, a wedding announcement is better than nothing. A marriage certificate is a different document than a wedding announcement. They document the same event, but have very different priorities when it comes to proving that the event occurred. Normally, a marriage certificate has a higher priority than the wedding announcement. The wedding announcement is nice, but it doesn't prove the wedding actually occurred. The announcement may have been printed, but the wedding later canceled. The researcher with the best documentation wins the argument, and many of these documents can be discovered by searching databases of websites that have digitized them. Be careful though, some kinds of documentation such as birth certificates did not exist in certain countries during specific periods. So during that period, christening records would have been a higher priority than birth certificates. As you can see, documentation priorities can change over time depending on the location. Ask others for help. Once you have asked all the relatives you can for as much information as you can, and you have entered it and verified it, you can expand your search to include others that are knowledgeable about family history, such as the family history consultants from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This service is free and available to all at designated locations. Note that while at the facilities, you are free to access all of the millions, about 400 million at the time of writing, of records that have been digitized and indexed by the church. However, there are many more organizations that you can get help from. Family organizations, county records libraries, graveyards, national ports of entry, etc., are also available. These organizations have been formed to help others find information pertinent to them. For example, if you wish to locate a relative you know is buried in a specific graveyard, the personnel of that graveyard can probably help you find the grave you're looking for by researching their records without you physically being there. There are many others, and some specialize in particular counties or regions of a country you may be interested in. Don't be shy, ask around and see what help is available. Learn how to research. As you go from step to step, you're building knowledge on how to do research. First, you reach out to the family, then to the internet, then to specialists that are trained in the area, and next to yourself. By this, I mean that you are starting to obtain information you need to learn on how to research on your own. Others have helped you to this point. Now you're all grown up and need to go out into the family history world by yourself. The best place to start is where you left off, meaning that up to this point, you have been able to collect and verify information that others have given you. You have entered it into your personal database on your PC and have researched the information on searchable websites to collect the documents needed to prove your ancestors' events. Now you need to find clues hidden in the research that you have done that will lead you to find information on other relatives that you have not yet found. For example, if you found an ancestor and discovered that they were in a census record as a child, that same record may tell you who the father is. It may also tell you who the other siblings were that were living with the parents at the time of the census. Censuses are great for helping you find relationships to other ancestors. The same could occur in a marriage record if a parent of one of the married couples were there as a witness. Be creative. Look for clues that have been overlooked. If one kind of record doesn't pan out, go to another, such as land or title records. One researcher was able to use information from a religious index to connect to 466 new relatives. Once the mother's name was found, a search was done on a searchable database to see if the mother could be found in another person's family tree, and luckily it was. The researcher was able to link to the other family who had already done the work back in time. Learn about DNA testing. DNA testing has become an increasingly used methodology in the field of genealogical research. It is yet another way to add to a body of evidence needed to prove genealogical relationships. DNA, just as any other form of evidence, has strengths and weaknesses, and care needs to be taken in choosing the test needed to solve a particular genealogical issue. In order to choose the appropriate test, it is important to understand the nature and abilities of the test available. Different tests resolve different questions, and it is possible that one test may have absolutely no ability to solve your particular question. So blindly taking DNA tests can be counterproductive. Currently, there are 4 different kinds of DNA testing. 1, mitochondrial, 2, Y chromosome, 3, autosomal, and 4, X DNA. Before sending off for a DNA test with a popular testing facility, first learn the differences between the 4 kinds of tests. Go to the location. For those that have done research but still come up empty-handed, the next best thing is to go to the location. For example, if you know your ancestor died in a particular city because you have county death records that say so, and there are a few cemeteries in the city, you may want to visit them and see if you can find the grave yourself. Many graves have been cataloged on Find a Grave and other sites, but not all, and it may be worth your while to go there. Note before you go, you probably want to contact the cemetery first to see if you can locate the grave from the records. but if not, go anyway. A picture or a charcoal rubbing may be a good way to document the grave if and when found. Realize that each location has its own rules and procedures. There are many locations you could go to in addition to graveyards, such as libraries, archives, county records, etc. Some allow you to take copies of the records, others do not. Some allow copies of some of the records, but others not. Some will research the records for you and give you a certification of their findings, others will not. Prepare before you go, or you may be frustrated when you get there. Become certified. Of course, the very best way to do research is to become a trained professional in the field. Not everyone has the ability, time, or interest to do this, but if you're so inclined, you may be able to pick up many valuable tools to help you in your own research, and you will be able to help many others with theirs. As you share your talents with others, solving their problems may lead you to find a missing link on yours. Some call it karma, some divine intervention. Whatever you call it, it is a reward for helping others, a reward for paying it forward. I hope this overview has been helpful. The training Seekers LLC provides is top down. We start with a framework and then fill in the pieces. This article is only a brief glimpse into the wonderful world of family history, but hopefully you can see that there is a structure to it and a sequence in the progression of knowledge along the path. It starts with the simple concepts and progresses towards the more complex. This also means that it starts with the least expensive methods and progresses towards the most expensive. Getting a glimpse at the framework is only the beginning of the journey. It shows the big picture, an overview of how to approach family history. Now you may want to dig a little deeper into each of the topics discussed above. Get involved in the effort as soon as you can and get help while you're doing it. Combining on-the-job training with practice and mentoring will get you up to speed far more quickly with better results than otherwise. Thank you for viewing Seeker's Roadmap to Family History. Each of the sections we've discussed above has been expanded into a whole chapter in Seeker's Intro to Family History video course. I hope you enjoyed the presentation and will allow me to guide you on your journey through the family history terrain by enrolling in the course. Oh, and one more thing. The structure of the course includes several sections not included here in the roadmap, such as gotchas, exercises, tools, questions, plans, and sharing. It also includes puzzles, and since I do like having fun, before we end the roadmap, I've included a word search for your enjoyment.